pubescent kids.
Along with pedophiles, they're the sign and tools of what pedophiles will do to find their victim. The following is just a short list of some things that they may do. First thing is that they genuinely like kids. They don't hate them. They typically are insecure and lonely. They do not view their behavior as wrong or abnormal. They also believe in something called mutual consent, which means that they ask for sex from a 7-year-old and the 7-year-old says, yes, I want to have sex with you. Which is very surprising that there are people that believe this, that think that an 8-year-old or 7-year-old can consent to something like sex. Most pedophiles, they typically have troubled childhoods. One that's coming up in a second, we'll talk about how their history impacts how they become offenders, how they become pedophiles, because it's just a cycle of abuse. They were typically abused in their childhood. It could be from a parent, could be from a neighbor. They have low self-esteem. They do childlike things like playing with toys of their target population. They also find jobs to be close to children. They think children are the only ones who can love unconditionally. They room with or marry people with children. Even though these are just a few of the tools, pedophilia is a mental disorder. Many of these people are attracted to prepubescent children, and some never offend.
Which is scary to me. Okay, next one we have dangerous activities. This is part of your test. So negligence in stopping bullying. What is bullying? What's the definition of bullying? Or say that to your partner. What is bullying?
Bullying.
There's a couple key words when it comes to bullying. Anyone have an idea? Want to give a definition? Teachers that have heard that before in your school. Your school counselor should be doing presentations on bullying all the time because they're required by the state of Texas. So if they're a graduate from Tech, they're doing them. But a bully is persistent and over time. So the time that you have with kids, it's not necessarily going to be persistent. But there's always the kids that have that big old fat target on their head. And you know they're going to be picked on. It's those kids that we need to stop that type of behavior from happening. Because we do not need to have in the headlines, student gets bullied at Texas Tech and jumps out of the top window of the dorms. I had that happen at a university that I worked in. From like the 16th floor. And not a good thing when they fall into the group of kids that they were with.
No, he was working on his PhD and I went to visit in the summer and they called in the middle of the night, they called Charlie to come over and it was awful. It was horrible.
That's the kind of things in counseling you're like, I didn't sign up for this at all. That's why I grow up with a team though, and I'm going to say a bad word right now. So I'm talking to people, or I see something, my jaw just doesn't drop down and go, no shit, what happened next? But I can hold my jaw up. And I'm like, I can't believe that just happened. But there's things like that happen with kids. Anytime you're around kids, they do the weirdest things. So commenting on physical characteristics. You could think, you never want to comment on physical characteristics to a child or to another person. The creepiest thing I ever heard from another human being was, it was the first day of camp. This was an athletic camp. It was a baseball camp. And this kid walks by, and there's this new staff guy. I didn't even know him. And he looks over to me and he says, that kid's put together well. And I just let it sit in my head. I was just staring like, I don't know what I just heard. Wow. I didn't know. That was just a creepy, creepy thing to me. And I didn't know what to do. I'm much younger than this guy. All I had been was a baseball player. And he's saying this to me. That's creepy. You don't want to say, oh, you look good in that swimsuit. It looks like you've been working out. You don't want any type of those discussions with kids. Using a foul language. Don't use bad language like I just used. They will imitate you. Helping the camper use the restroom. Anyone working in a special needs camp this summer? Do you have to wipe butts?
No, but we go in pairs.
There we go.
We take it.
So, only a few of you all will have to, but usually someone that needs assistance in the restroom will have someone with them. So you all don't have to wipe butts this summer. You should clap for that because that's awesome. Yay. One of the first camps I worked in, they said to me, okay, we have a special needs camp. They are going to go to the restroom in their pants. You just need to go tell someone. I'm like, holy crap, I do not want to work this week. I don't want to do this at all. And it was a very interesting camp because a lot of interesting things came up. And maybe I'll talk about those if we still have time. So you're not helping a camper use the restroom. You're not going in there with them. You're not wiping butts this summer. What would be inappropriate clothing to wear during camp?
Speedos.
Speedos, there we go. You want anything hanging out, okay? What about shirts? What kind of shirts should you not wear? No spaghetti straps? Something that's not necessarily going to tear? I know that's a weird thing. But don't wear like your party shirt that is like Jack Daniels, but it says party for so-and-so fraternity. You know, you don't want anything booze related. Nothing, just wear Texas Tech shirts. You know, just wear camp shirts. Don't think that you need to be cool by wearing something that has something inappropriate on it. It's kind of amazing some of the things that people will wear and think they're okay. Finally, being alone with the camper in a private place. Is anyone working in a music camp this summer in here? We do have private lesson rooms where you have to be one-on-one. That's a condoned behavior to happen in music. You don't want to fall outside of your area of competency where you're going to be alone with a kid in the middle of the night in the janitor's closet or something like that. You never want to be in a private place. Let someone else know where you are all the time.
And if you find yourself alone, you know, get yourself out of that situation quickly. But if there is an issue like your little 5-year-olds, an issue in the bathroom, have somebody there with you. Do not go all by yourself. Always have a partner or someone that can see you, okay? You're within sight distance, not necessarily hearing, but within sight distance of other people that can vouch for what is happening.
So more things you don't want to embarrass a kid. One of the worst ways to motivate a child is to yell at them and say, oh, you do that wrong. You're not rubbing kids. You're not the athletic trainer. You're not rubbing cramps out. You're not rubbing their back. Not good. Lap sitting, piggyback rides, and folding hands. Why won't you do piggyback rides? Teachers should know this for sure. Because if you do it for one kid, they're all going to line up. And everyone's going to want a piggyback ride. By the end of the summer, your back's going to hurt. Because they're not even going to tell you, and they're going to jump on your back. Okay, and you're just owned by this kid. He weighs like 80 pounds and he's in 2nd grade. You're like, oh, crap. What did you eat? But any types of behaviors like that, not good. You don't want to text. You don't want to take pictures of your campers. If you need to take pictures and your director says take pictures of the kids during this, say, please, I don't want to do it on my own phone. Let me tell you why. There was a camp, not Texas Tech, where they were at a swimming pool. I don't know what it is about swimming pools. But the girl who was 16 years old tries to get out of the pool really fast, and her top came off, and they were taking pictures of each kid getting out of the thing.
And so just clicking, not really looking.
So what was terrible is that this person had their phone, they took the picture, it automatically uploaded to Flickr through their phone. So what this person just did is trafficked child porn. Okay, that's ridiculous. But that person had charges filed against them and had to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to not be a sex offender for the rest of his life. So you can see how touchy upon this can be. Do not take pictures of kids on your own phone. Okay, if your camp needs pictures, have them provide that for you. And say, oh, those sex talk people told me I couldn't take pictures.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, blame it on us. I'll totally explain it to them because you do not want to be that person. What about talking about sex? Are you going to talk to your kids about sex?
A lot of them want to talk about it.
Are there any sex camps here? Sex ed camps? No. There is quail camp. But there's not sex ed camp. So any of these ideas, sexuality, masturbation, sexual conquest, any of these things, you do not do those discussions. Texas is a parent-first state. And you can say to them, and it's going to break your heart because parents don't talk to their kids about sex anymore, but you say, talk to your parents about that. Because I'm not talking about it here. This isn't something, that's not part of your camp. All right, so social media takes over our lives. You all have probably sent stuff, hopefully not in here. That's okay though. But we do not want you using social media with your campers, okay?
Personal.
We're just going to be as conservative as that. Do not friend your campers. If they friend you, how are you going to deal with it?
Ignore them.
Just let it sit. Don't do anything, ignore them. Just stay away from it. If they say, why don't you want to be my friend? Say, go to our group site, create a group site. Don't be personal with kids because that's not good, because pedophiles do that. Never send private messages, but the two mobile apps that I see a lot that are location-based, think about what you see on these two, Yeti and Yik Yak. You see some pretty awful stuff, especially for kids that are 12 years old that are looking into college. Oh yeah, I heard that Yeti is pretty cool. Oh, there's boobs. Oh, there's weed. Oh, there's farmers plowing fields. You know, it's all kinds of different things that happen. One of my research areas is social media and bullying on social media. And so pay attention to that. So if you see a child, let's just say a kid happens to tweet you that they're feeling sad about killing themselves. How do you deal with that? You tell someone. You don't just say, oh, that doesn't mean anything, it's online. Nothing's true on the internet. No, you report that. So Texas sexual consent law. This is where the litigious part of our society comes. It's important to pay attention to these things because of the Romeo and Juliet provision that I only learned about from the Transformers movie. What was the newest one? I don't know.
The newest one.
The newest Transformers. Anyhow, that's the Romeo and Juliet thing, which is actually true, which is weird. But none of you all should have a previous relationship with someone that's still a minor. Okay? Good, thank you. So the way this looks in the United States, the age of consent in Texas is 17. I just think this is interesting, looking at all the 16s. I don't know how many 16-year-olds I've seen that have really been too competent for anything other than fighting. Or anyhow, you can see how that impacts it, but the age of consent in Texas is 17. Sexual consent law, this is important because you all, every one of you falls into this category. You are an educator, technically. And even if a kid is above the age of consent, you cannot have sex with them, okay? Because they are protected under law, because you are an educator, so an employee of a school. So when you hear people say, oh, yeah, but they're 17. No, they're paying to be here. They're in this camp. You cannot have sex with them. So, sex with a child under the age of 14 is considered aggravated sexual assault. Think about aggravated sexual assault. Think about what happens to people that are totally accused of and found guilty of this. Where do they go? Prison. To prison. What do they do in prison to identify the differences between inmates? Do you know what they do? They put different colored bands on their wrists. And so sex offenders have a different color band than everyone else. And so they are targeted all the time. And so this is something, it's bad. It's just really, really bad because in jail they're going to beat you up a lot. So here's the tools to not become Bubba's boyfriend in jail. Touch, we talked about touch, appropriate touch, inappropriate touch. Limit one-on-one contact, know all of these different things. We're going to talk about the rest of these right now. So with your partner, where is it safe for you to touch a camera? Identify it on this body. Where is it safe to touch a camera?
And with your partner, where is it safe for a camper to touch you? Because they will touch you. Yeah. You may have one of the little ones, the 5-year-olds come up. Now, if I was taller, it would make more sense. But, wrap their arms around your leg to hug you. There's nothing, they can't grow any taller. But that doesn't mean you can go hug a kid around their leg because they did it to you. Okay? So, just where is it appropriate to touch a kid? Where do you think it is safe? Like, sure bet it's all going to be
What about
okay.
top of the head? Reach out and touch your partner on top of the head. Did anyone just get slapped? That's not a comfortable thing for a lot of people. It is so easy to be an elementary teacher and palm their heads and walking around. It is awesome. There's no better way of making them conform to your will. But we don't do that to kids. We want to build autonomy and have them make their own good choices. So where was it safe to touch someone? Tell me if I'm doing bad touch. Shoulder, outside the arms, pat on the back. What about holding hands? What about crossing the street?
Yes.
That's a good context. But you don't cross the street 10:30 at night. You do so good. You're my favorite camper. No, you don't intertwine your hands. You don't reach out and grab their hand unless they're in some sort of trouble. Think about this body, okay? Outside the arms, the shoulders, safe places. The top of the head, very, very cautious when it comes to touching the top of the head, okay? Because some people are very, very, very sensitive to that, but lump everyone into it. But the places you do not want to touch is where a swimsuit would cover and nothing below the waist. Is there an activity when you're touching a kid below the waist? Tying their shoes?
Good.
Where are you tying their shoes?
Feet outside in the yard.
Where everyone can see. You're not going into the custodian closet. You're not going to turn the light on and tie your shoes good. You're not going to be that type of nasty person. It's all about the context of where you're tying shoes. If you ever have to draw a firm line for your camper, like draw a boundary, don't take them out in the hall, down the hall. Be in a place where other people can see you, but not necessarily hear you. Kids, they're taught, if anyone touches you where your swimsuit covers, that's private space. So if they come to you and said, so-and-so touched me in the swimsuit area, respond to that, because that is an outcry. That's how elementary kids are taught right now.
To tell.
Do not touch where the swimsuit covers. What would necessitate touching in this area? CPR. First aid, compression. Any of you have trampolines on campus? We don't have trampolines.
No.
That's a dangerous one. We also don't have wrestling camp. So we do not teach wrestling moves to your kids because that's not part of your camp. Are there any wrestlers in here? Anyone that wrestled before? No names and stuff? There's one move called the high crotch and one move called the Saturday Night Ride. Google those. You will become very disturbed. You cannot unsee that. But don't teach things that are outside of your camp role. Okay, so you're not teaching wrestling moves. But for safety, it's okay to touch in this area. Do we still do mouth to mouth? We use little barriers if we are, but we do not do mouth to mouth. We only do chest compressions. So when we look at touch, is there anything in your camp that's a traditional kind of touch? Like a traditional handshake, a high five, anything like that. Athletic stuff, safety stuff, academic. To get a kid's attention, touch helps a lot. And that's probably what Camille's dad used to do, is get attention from a kid like this. What's another way of getting their attention? Yeah. Whistle at them. Hey! If I could do that, it'd be awesome. But knowing their name really helps. So learn names. It's one of the best things that you can do. Okay, so removing the camera, we talked about this a little bit, and we're going to have a question on it. But have someone watch you the whole time. Each and every one of you are on the same team this summer. Okay, and so watch each other's back. If someone is all alone, know that that's not appropriate. Okay, if they go in someplace and they're removed. So the next thing we're going to do is talk about hugs. We're going to demonstrate something. When it comes to hugs, it's all about context and lingering. So we're going to teach you how to give a solid, safe. But think of this as, would you hug your camper this way? The first one is the snake hug. Appropriate hug or inappropriate hug? Not a good hug. Next one we have is the bro hug. Appropriate hug or inappropriate hug? Good one. Good hug. We like that one. Next one we have is the wiggle hug. Usually happens when two people are excited to see each other. Oh! No, good one or bad hug? You're not twerking while you're hugging. Next one we have is the grunt hug. This is awesome. But it brings up another rule when it comes to hugs. You're so pretty.
Are you enjoying it?
Dirty hug. That brings up the other rule. What do you think that is? No audible sounds. So when you hug your grandma, check yourself. Because you may have just grunt hugged your grandma. Next one we have is the manly hug. There's different rules about this hug. I guess I better try to mute this one. Sorry. The manly hug has two different rules. The first one, tell me if this is a manly hug or not. Yeah. All right, did you see what I did? How many times did I pat him? Were my hands open or closed? Open is 3 pats. But if you do fists like a manly hug, hey. 2 hugs. Just 2 pats real quick. Appropriate hug or inappropriate? Yeah, probably pretty. The next one we have is the Heisman hug. We learned this one from a guy who had one of, you know those fun noodles that you float in the pool with? He had created one that was a cane, and he would carry it around in his backpack, and he would whip it out like a samurai sword when a kid got too close to him. So like this kid was coming, he would poke him. He had this cane, and he would poke him back. He didn't like having him close, but he had the Heisman hug. So they tried to come hug him, and he'd go, stop. So probably not the most appropriate. He also had the 2-pat and push hug. They tried to hug him, and he'd pat him twice and push him back. The guy was about 6'8". He was a monster. Big old long arms, but very, very much inside of his own little safety world.
He was not a good counselor.
He was not a good camp counselor at all. He was funny, but anyway. Next one we have is the middle school hug. Usually when kids first learn to hug each other. Maybe a good hug. That's a good hug. Hand hug. Which one we have next? The pimp hug. Appropriate hug or inappropriate hug?
What makes you think it's already bad?
It's not that. Is that an endangered quail?
What?
Totally inappropriate. Be aware of lingering and touching and grazing. Know where your appendages are when you are hugging someone.
Just because we wear push-up bras and can't feel anything doesn't mean it's
What about the back hug or the creepy hug? Okay. This is also the universal position for you're doing camp wrong. You're never in this position at camp. There is no reason. Not at the dance, not waiting in line, nothing. There's never an activity that's going to necessitate that. Next one we have is the public education hug or the side hug, appropriate or inappropriate. Good one. Usually called the church hug. I love the public education hug. It is the safest hug, but you're not rubbing them down or anything like that.
watch your appendages grazing.
The final one we have is the front hug, appropriate or inappropriate. Probably a good one. Maybe context. Last day of camp. Hey, you did awesome. I hope to see you next year. Maybe. My favorite one in Lubbock, Taco Tuesday. You might. There's different contexts for that. But what are the rules when it comes to hugging?
No longer than 2 seconds.
No longer than 2 seconds. So lingering. No lingering. The context, and keep your sounds to yourself. But it's going to happen, and you're going to check yourself the next time you give a hug.
Texas is a duty to report state. Okay. That is a lot of responsibility that is put on the individual person. If a minor makes a comment or statement about abuse of any kind happening currently, or that happened to them, you have the duty to report that information. Okay? You have 48 hours to notify law enforcement and child protective services. If you wait, you can be charged with the endangerment of a child. If you do not report, you can be charged with a jail felony.
Which is 180 days in jail.
So where we see this in camp, earlier I talked about a kid coming in from a situation where they don't feel safe to camp with you, and they do feel safe. Okay, Charlie talked about suspecting abuse, okay, like the signs, like they haven't said anything, but we suspect, okay? This, a child comes straight to you and tells you they've been abused, okay? You do report it to your director if it happened, during camp time. But ultimately, you are the person that has to report it to CPS. Your director cannot say, thank you very much, I will handle it from here. Okay? If they told you to your face,
If you're the person of first outcry.
you have to report it. Now, if they say, it's okay, my mom called the police, it's fine, it was her boyfriend, her, or my stepdad, or whatever, it's been taken care of, you still have to report it, okay? Because it happened once, and a kid told the counselor, said everything was okay. I won't go into the long story. Got sent back home from camp. Boyfriend picked the kid up, was in the hospital in a coma for 3 months. When he woke up, they said, or she woke up, they said, why didn't you tell anybody? I did, I told my camp counselor. Oh, great. And I told my mom. That's besides the point. The counselor was also brought into it. So, you still have to report it, okay? You still have to report it.
So when it comes to reporting, these are the places that you can report. Child Protective Services, Office of Inspector General. You might not have known that there is an office in Texas. That's the Texas Office of Inspector General. But it is an office that your tax money pays, so let's use them. And also local law enforcement. Use campus police. They are trained to deal with this. But they are very well trained in responding to child abuse. So use them because they will get here very quick. The legal place that you have to report it, if there's a question on your test, is Child Protective Services or Office of the Inspector General or local law enforcement. So you're looking at which one is legal. You can do them online. You can also do them on the phone. You can do both ways. So with reporting, it's very easy to do. It's sometimes nerve-wracking because you're on hold.
Online is really easy. You don't have to wait.
And if there's an imminent threat, you call them on the phone. You call law enforcement on the phone is what you do. But if there's an imminent threat with children also, you can call CPS. Do not do an online report if there's an imminent threat.
Right.
So these are the recommended steps. Make sure the kid's in a safe place, that they're not in harm's way. You're going to talk to your director. Each of your camps is going to have an incident report. Paul Ruiz's office has incident reports for your camps. You'll tell law enforcement you have 48 hours to report that. It's kind of hard to get inside of that 48-hour window, so do it very rapidly. Move on it quickly. Don't say, yeah, we'll wait till after lunch. Go immediately to your director. The final summary, we want you to repeat after us. I will not be stupid this summer.
I will not be stupid this summer.
I will make good choices.
I will make good choices.
I will be an asset, not a liability.
I will be an asset, not a liability.
Please remember that everything happens for a reason. But sometimes the reason is that you're stupid and you make bad decisions. So be smart and make good decisions.
Thank you all so much for joining us. This concludes your training for the Sexual Abuse and Child Molestation Prevention Certificate. I have put up on the board numbers for Child Protective Services, the Office of Inspector General, and then local law enforcement if there's an imminent threat. Please have your local law enforcement information readily available for all staff. Thank you all again so much. Remember, if you have a question about reporting, it is best to err on the side of caution and report.